home turf of Tiddler Celestial even. Firebat certainly making a name for himself. Just a year ago, Firebat was a name that no one knew, but once he won BlizzCon, once he got his name up there, he just exploded, and now he's had a really budding Hearthstone career. Meanwhile, Ostaka, he's kind of in a similar position that Firebat was in last year. Everyone knows him, or rather, everyone in the scene knows him, but a lot of the viewers don't. He doesn't stream that much. He's not that big of a name, but everyone really respects his play.
Oh yeah, I feel like the Ostaka was in the exact same spot. Well, he's in the exact same spot the Firebat was in last year because Firebat was one of the player where that everyone kind of knew, every player and casters and opponents knew, but then the public viewers did not know too much about him. So
Yep. So what are these guys playing for today, Masan?
oh my god. Well, I feel like we have a Druid, Warlock, and Warrior versus Druid, Warlock, and
Yeah.
Warrior. The mirror
Well,
matchup.
well, I meant more. What do the players win if they win the matches today?
Oh yeah. If they win matches, well, whoever wins this matchup will be going against the Lost of who's waiting in the final bracket of this total bracket, and that would be this is the eighth bracket technically, right? Um,
Yeah, it's kind of like
this
an
bracket
eight-man
will
bracket.
this bracket will finalize the final list for the grand finals of the Star Letter.
Yeah. So
Is
the
this go ahead.
Yeah, there's actually going to be a land in Kiev, Ukraine, sometime in the
Mhm.
middle of October. I believe it's October 16th to October 18th.
16th to 18th, yes.
Right. There are four players who have already qualified from the bracket stage: Dog, Stanucci, Tice, and the last one is Stan Sifka. Meanwhile, we saw yesterday that Kalento qualified from the bracket stage. We were supposed to finish off the bracket stage yesterday, but unfortunately, there were so many connection issues. The
Yeah.
authentication servers from Blizzard were kind of down, so we couldn't really finish any of the matches. Therefore, we have Firebat versus Osaka today. The winner of that will play Lost of, and the winner of that series will move on to the finals, along with such big names such as Kalento, Tice, Dog, pretty much some of the biggest names in Hearthstone we have right now.
Yeah, Kalanta dominated yesterday's game. So 3-1, 3-0, and 3-1 victory. Oh wow, I was super excited yesterday. Although some of the games were kind of drawn out, and there were a lot of mirror matchups. But still, there are a lot of things that just happened. Like it was more of the insightful games than just boring mirror matchups. So I'm really excited to how these two players gonna figure the mirror matchups out.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on your perspective on all of this. We saw yesterday there was this patron mirror between Osaka and who did he play yesterday?
Surrender.
Surrender, right. Where both players just armored up until they were able to go off, basically. Neither of them wanted to develop a board of patrons. Both players were scared of the opponent getting the burst combo with Frothing Berserkers. Quite interesting.
I still
Um,
believe Surrender could have done something about the board. He could have just expanded in the
yeah,
board and won game in 2 turns.
yeah, true. But
But
my point is, it really depends on your perspective on that game. A lot of players or a
mm,
lot of viewers thought it was a boring game, but I personally found it
mm,
pretty interesting how that game played out.
yeah,
That being said, I certainly wouldn't want to cast another one of those games. It's a situation
no,
where you want to see it once to see how it plays out, and then your curiosity is your curiosity is satisfied, basically.
oh yeah, we learn what's gonna happen if the mirror matchup goes on, and then goes on for a while both players just holding on and just waiting for the burst combo. But then yeah, like I said, I don't know if I want to cast another game of that, but it was really interesting how it turned out. And Osaka
Right.
actually ended up making better decision than Surrender. So better player win, right?
Yeah. Well, the player who drew Emperor first won. So yeah, the better player won, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're still waiting on uh, players to figure out their secret questions in order to log on accounts. Firebat again is
Oh my
having
god.
some difficulties, so we apologize for the
At
delay.
least you can log on, right? I hope. Because yesterday you couldn't log in. Like NA players couldn't log into Europe, and Europe players could not log into NA. I hope that's not the case today.
Hmm. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Firebat yesterday, he actually had some problems waking up in time for the tournament, and
Oh yeah.
he was actually supposed to go to TwitchCon, but unfortunately, uh, he was running his own Swiss tournament, and the brackets bugged out. So, gladly we have him joining us right now to play some Hearthstone games. Although it might take him a while to log onto an account and build some decks.
So, well, will he show up in TwitchCon?
No, he can't go. TwitchCon
You
is
know that?
starting right now.
Oh no. How about you, Monk?
Well, I'm casting here with you, Masan, so probably not. Probably not.
Uh,
TwitchCon begins today.
all right. Well, I don't know where exactly you are, so well, same goes for me. I mean, I'm just stuck here in Asia for time being.
Yeah. I mean,
Hopefully, I can get to TwitchCon next year.
I can like book a flight right now, take the red eye, maybe show up tomorrow. It's all possible.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe it will happen. Maybe it won't.
Yeah. Perhaps I'm casting on a plane right now.
No, I don't think so. Unless you have a private jet. Oh my God.
No, no, no. We don't make that much money doing Hearthstone things, Masan.
All right. Are you sure? Maybe some people and well, like you know how much money these players won. Some of the players actually make really
Yeah, that's right.
insane amount,
Well, like you said, Firebat has won, what is it, like 130 something dollars? Or
$144,000
that's right, that's right. It's a pretty good
in past year, basically.
yeah, pretty nice seven-figure salary basically.
Yep.
Yeah, no RNG involved in that either. Like no RNG involved in taking the Hearthstone World Championship.
A lot of people would say that, and a lot of people would say they differ. But I'd like to say that it's more of a skill-based game than RNG.
Yeah, that's right. I'm really excited to see actually how the rest of the BlizzCon regionals will play out. We saw like some pretty interesting things coming out from a lot of regions. I think in China they were all playing mid-range paladin, which is quite interesting.
Wait,
Um,
mid-range paladin
that's
over
right.
sacred paladin?
That's right. That's right. Um, we had some people playing Hobgoblin Warlock in the regional qualifiers. We had
Oh my God.
someone actually played mid-range Shaman and he won. I don't know if you're
That
familiar.
I could understand.
I don't know if
Unless
you're.
unless the meta is filled up with the patrons
Yeah.
and like freeze mages and tempo like those
Are you
combo
are
decks.
are you familiar with a player by the name of Ping Ping Ho, the Taiwanese player?
No, I'm not.
Well,
He's the one who used the Hobgoblin deck.
no, no, he's a pretty known Taiwanese player. He qualified for the
Hmm.
ESL Legendary Series a while ago, in the very first one. And he brought mid-range
Oh,
Shaman basically, and he won his qualifier with mid-range Shaman. So pretty interesting from him, proving that maybe mid-range Shaman is not the worst deck in the world.
depends on meta. Like as long as the combo decks are not there, I believe midrange shaman has a really strong point against a lot of decks. But it's just so weak versus combo decks such as freeze mage, the patron warrior, echo medieval mage. I guess those three mainly. I guess, and some priests time to time, very often actually, because the cabal shadow priests.
Yeah, that's true. I think actually these days that it used to be back in like around the same time last year, Priest was so heavily
Hmm.
favored against Shaman. They had so many board clears with the Aconite Circle, Holy Nova, etc., and Cabal, obviously, which just basically stole everything that the Shaman had. These days, though, I think it's a lot closer, especially with
Oh
like
yeah.
all the Dragon Priest. If the Dragon Priest doesn't take control of the board in the first few turns, they can just like there's like no way for them to come back. You have plays like you put a zombie child on the board and then you buff it up
Hmm.
with a flame tongue, and then the priest is like, "What am I gonna do now?" And that's why in the Dragon Priest, even though in the beginning there it was like all minion based, right now a
Hmm.
lot of players are running either one or two copies of Shadow Word Pain to get past situations like that.
Oh yeah. Also, the strongest removal the priest has, which is light bomb, isn't particularly amazing against shaman, as far as I know. It's a lot of shaman cards that will have, especially totem. Totem doesn't die to light bomb because they don't have attack points, except for steering totem.
You're telling me that Light Bomb is not effective against OX totems? That's such a surprise,
Yes,
Masan.
exactly. I know. That's the amazing insight I have
Mhm.
in that matchup. But then again, I guess that some of them do run one or two Holy Nova.
Yeah.
But then it's nearly not enough. Like they stop running Arcanine Soul Priest with the circle combo, and they are left with basically to clear the only way priest that can clear totem is to Holy Nova, and they usually just run one,
We're
which isn't usually enough.
we're getting all our priest commentary out of the way since
Hmm.
we're pretty sure that we're not going to be able to use this commentary when we
I
actually test the
know,
games.
I know.
What do you
So
think about
how excited are you? Go ahead.
my excitement is tempered by the fact that we're probably going to have a lot of mirror matches. Druid, Handlock, Patron.
Maybe it won't be. Maybe it won't be because you also mentioned that Firebat is one of the strongest and known for bringing Zulog instead of Henlock, right? So
Yeah,
maybe you'll see that,
that's right. That's right. I really
and
like.
that will be a lot more interesting than Henlock Mirror. You know?
Yeah. Although I will say Handlock Mirror is one of the more exciting mirrors. It's not like Patron Mirror where it's either this it's like kind of decided by draws almost.
Uh-huh.
Decided by who draws like the four patron combo first or who draws into Emperor first. It's not like the Druid Mirror where it's like who draws into Walled Growth or Innervate first or Darnassus even. Handlock Mirror seems to be like one of the more interesting mirrors, especially because there's so many decisions to be made, and it's hard for one player to immediately lose the game because of what he drew in the first four turns. Even though like Mountain against no BGH, against no Twilight, against no other Mountain Giants is kind of bad.
It's I could also argue that the those Henlock matchups usually is determined by those big game hunters and owls to clear out the Twilight Drakes and Mountain Giants. And if one player has it, one player doesn't, like you said, big game hunter, is it's not like you say the game doesn't usually end right off, but then it scales up so fast that the game's going on for like 4 or 5 turns, and by the 10, the opponent has a huge advantage over you. Just and then you just don't just have enough any damage or health or minions left over on your board.
Yep, that's right. Hmm. So, how long is it going to take for Firebat to create an account or at least build some decks is the real question.
Yep. You want to talk about the BlizzCon originals?
Yeah, we can talk about that. We have been talking about that a bit actually recently. What do you want to talk
Yep.
about, Masan? Specifically, according to with regards to the
Well, let's go
BlizzCon
over
originals.
players. We know every player from Europe.
Yep.
We know every player from America. We know every player from China.
We know
Well,
every,
China is already determined,
yeah, we know every player.
and we know all the players from Asian specific region. I believe we have
That's right.
all 8 players who will be participating in regionals. Did China actually have regionals at all, or
What do you mean?
did they just pick up?
They just did a
They
mini
had
tournament.
different regional, right?
Yeah, China is the only region where it's like their own country basically, and
Mm-hmm.
they basically like they had regionals already, and this happened before even the online portions of the regionals happened in our areas like in Europe and in the Americas scene. So that tournament actually happened about 3 weeks ago, and the players who qualified are pretty unknown. Love CX, Zero, No Tomorrow, and Zhao. And I'm excited to get some new blood. I know a lot of people were they wanted to see Tiddler again
Mm-hmm.
because it would prove like that Hearthstone is one of those games that um, that takes skill that has consistency, but unfortunately, one of the fan
Tiddler did make to
favorites.
the originals though, and he made it pretty high actually.
That's
He
true.
made it to lose this round too.
Oh,
It was just one game away from qualifying, and he lost to Ice Fox, who qualified.
well, I think
Up, we have a match starting.
yeah, it looks like
Great.
Firebat is working out and playing Hearthstone at the same time. One of the
Oh
nice
man,
things
I
you
wish
can
I could do
do
that.
with Hearthstone is you don't actually have to like be at your computer all the time. Just like play
Oh
Hearthstone
yeah,
while you're
you
on the
can play on
treadmill.
your phone. You can do the push-ups, and you can like make the moves and then do the push-ups
Yeah,
same time.
that's right. So yeah, again, we have to remind you it's going to be a mirror matchup. Not my favorite type of matchup, but it is what it is.
I really hope for Firebat brought Zudek, and especially Zudek with a Void Tear to just somewhat even out the matchup between Patron.
Mm. Yeah, Firebat, I think he is kind of known for being Zoo with double Void Terror, I want to say. He used such a deck in Starladder last season, and he used the deck actually that did not include Iron Beak Owl. So I'm wondering if he actually changed that from last season,
Yo, I
if he
Big
indeed is
Owl.
bringing Zoo.
Wow. So I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen any players actually on tournaments who plays the Zoo without. Well, with the exception of Firebat, who plays the Zoo without Owl. I don't think I've seen that before.
Yeah. I think the rationale there is you just want to cut all the situational cards, and Owl is pretty situational.
Hmm.
I know some
It's
people
very.
they cut Owl from Hunter as well, and it looks like we might get to the first game. There it is.
Ooh, is that a control warrior I see?
Yeah, it looks like it. It looks to be actually one of the one of the Death Lord control warriors that we saw show innovate.
Oh man, I'm so excited to say this.
Yeah, but the real
Control
question.
Control Warrior with the Death Lords also tends to run double Brawl, so it's actually not a bad
Mhm.
um, choice versus Handlocks.
Yeah. Then again, though, I mean, the Death Lord probably is not very good at all in this matchup. In fact, it might even hurt more than it helps. Unless you get something like a Sun Fairy Protector out of it or an Ancient Watcher. Or maybe best
I
case
say
scenario is
it
an Ivory
argue
Gal.
that's arguable, I'd say, because very often I won against. Me personally, I really like the playing double Death Lord, double Brawl deck with the even Deathwing I added in, and you just keep on forcing your opponent to just play the cards that you don't want, then you will fill their board up instead of yours, and then you just go with the Brawl. Obviously, let's say that you have to have a Brawl against Sandlux to play Death Lord, which might not happen. Man,
All right.
Firebat has a pretty good starting hand here. Say this for Ostaka, but I think the Firebat's hand starting hand is slightly better. He has Bash, Slam, and Iske combo, and then he can if he Ostaka draws into another strong cards like Mountain Giant, then he can go Bash and Shell Slam.
Yeah, that's right. I
With
think
that said,
yeah.
the Demon Handlocks also tends to have a little more strong cards than typical Handlocks. So this matchup, actually, I haven't seen this matchup um, too much, particularly. And I actually think that Demon Hemlock should be a little bit favored, even with a double Brawl.
Yeah, I agree. It actually does come down often to how many threats are in the warrior deck and how much cycle there is. So, and with this type of deck, we're seeing a lot of decks where they basically cut Acolyte of Pain.
Oh yeah, the Firebat has the Bash instead of Cloud of Pain.
Yeah, Bash and Slam, just more cycle cards. Even sometimes in Dragon Paladin or Dragon Warrior, for instance, they run Azure Drake and Slam and maybe a shield block or two, and that's their cycle, about like a 5 card cycle.
Mm-hmm.
In this type of warrior, probably a more standard control warrior, there's Slam and there's the 2 shield blocks. It's quite possible still that he's running all of those in addition to Acolyte of Pain. We saw the Nyria warrior recently. It's more of a mid-range warrior, but it runs all of those cards.
Ooh, Firebat has a pretty nice clear here. He can attack into one of them, bash and clear, and then he can execute the other one. But then he's only left with 1 mana, so can't do anything after.
Yep. That's all right. I think
Now it's got.
he's just content with
Go ahead.
developing the or with dealing with
Mm-hmm.
the board. And
And I'll armor up as well. Yep.
yep, hopefully for him, maybe Ostaka has 1 or 2 more threats left, but after that, it's going to be tough. We see Ostaka. Meanwhile, his hand isn't that great. Lotheb
No, not anymore.
will be pretty good here. And Firebat will have a hard time clearing it because of the Lotheb effect. He can't really shield slam it. He can't even slam and fire war axe it. So if Ostaka gets up a taunt behind that, it might be difficult for Firebat to clear the Lotheb. That being said, though, this Demon Handlock deck typically doesn't run taunts in the form of Sludge Belchers. It's mostly, well, it's pretty much all the 2 Defender of Argus and the 2 Sun Fury Protectors.
But that said, the Firebat doesn't really have to clear this turn. He can just develop the Belcher, and like Belcher will tank a shot from Ulithap and just see what the board just look like after this turn. Or instead, he's just going for a Shoal Slam clear.
Yep, fair enough. What that means though is that Firebat has 1 less clear for like this Mountain Giant coming up, even though he has the BGH.
Yep.
I think one of the reasons that Firebat used the Shield Slam is because he already has BGH and an Execute in his hand.
Oh yeah, with a Slam too, dude. Oh my goodness. Both of them are doing really, really well. Well, Ostaka doesn't have anything left over. That's a problem for him right now. He can I guess he has to lifetime and try to see what he gets with the 2 draws he's gonna have. And if he doesn't have anything, he's just gonna have to pass the turn with it after light bombing.
Yep, that's right.
The big game hunter. Let's see what Ostaka gets. Ooh, he can actually cycle another one with this. And warriors don't really have any minions that's gonna have 1 or less health, so I think the double Mortal Coil is definitely a good option. Or he could just Dark Bomb it.
Yeah. Actually, back in the day, I asked Kalento why he put Mortal Coil in Handlock, because there was a time when Mortal Coil was not standard. It was not like a 2 of auto include in Handlock, and this was back in Hunter wasn't as strong. And he basically said, I don't necessarily want it to deal 1 damage to 1 HP creatures. He said a lot of the times it's because Sludge Belcher was really popular at the time, and Twilight Drake is something you play on 4. So oftentimes the most common use of the Mortal Coil is to get off that 1 HP off the Sludge Belcher after your Twilight Drake has run into it. These days, though, that dynamic isn't as common since Sludge Belcher is more rare, and you have other 4 drops that you can play.
Ostaka going with a power play going Malgadis, and unfortunately for Ostaka, Firebat just has a great answer. Slamming and just execute. He can also develop the board. The one thing you have to worry about, really worry about playing against Handlock is that, oh, there we go, double brawl actually, as we talked about. Anyways, the one thing you have to be careful is you just have to continuously watch your opponent's health. Just you don't want them to go down below 15 health and then they just develop the double Molten Giant and some free or Argus turn, and then you really don't have anything to break their taunt. Even if you just have to go for a brawl gamble basically, and if the taunts Molten Giant taunts comes out, well then you're out of luck.
So this is one of those really awkward hands that Handlock tends to get at this stage of the game. Everything is super situational. Can't
double Dark Bomb kill 5/2. Oh man. And let's take out a heal bot. He does have a double Molten Giant and double taunts ready to go.
Yeah.
He can't even develop. Yeah, he doesn't want to. He has nothing to taunt. He has. Yeah. Yeah. While Firebat's continuously developing the board, Ostaka doesn't really have anything in his hand to play.
Oh well.
Oh, there we go.
Never mind.
Never mind. Not anymore. I was really worried of Ostaka because Ostaka right now only cards he could have played was basically, well, he could have played Molten Giant, I suppose. But besides that, he could only play a heal bot, which you really doesn't want to play when you have a double Molten Giant in your hand, especially against a warrior.
So we're gonna see. I think Boombot is pretty much you have to play that card. The real question is, do you want to taunt it up, or do you want to life tap here? Because if you don't taunt it up, then Cruel Taskmaster plus Grom or Grom plus Slam is
yeah,
lethal.
you're in lethal range for that. And I don't think Ostaka's seen any to Taskmaster or any deck that indicates the Firebat might be going for.
Yeah.
Yep, there we go.
Well, actually,
Taunt comes down.
Slam Grom would not have been lethal because it would have been 1-off. But
yeah, he needed to go for Taskmaster, but he's running Death Lord instead of.
Yeah, I think it's fair that he uses the Sun Fury Protector here, since his hand is already so clunky that he probably wants to get rid of some of these cards as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. And now, how does a Firebat clear this 7/7? Taunted. I don't think he can. He just have to pass a turn and see what Ostaka brings. Which he does end up doing it. And I don't think Ostaka. Oh, there we go. Void color. He at least has something to play. Now that Ostaka finally seen Deathlord, now he has to worry about. All right, do I want to play? Do I want to overdevelop the board? Even if he just plays the Void color, he's got to be worried about like, oh, I'm gonna lose a Void color. And if a Firebat has a Brawl in his hand, which it does, he can lose a lot of cards. And oh my
Oh,
goodness. 4-1 Twilight Drake. That is definitely not a card he wants to see out of the Brawl. I mean, out of the Deathlord.
yeah. That being said, though, it's gonna be kind of hard for Firebat to reach the Twilight Drake. He pretty much has to run both his Sledge Belchers into the Doctor Boom, and I don't think Ostaka is gonna give him that chance.
He can just attack with one of the Belchers and he can use as a weapon.
Well, I'm saying one of the Belchers will die here, probably,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
or both of them.
Or both with the Shadow Flame. Nice top deck. He drew both of them from the top, right?
No, well, the Shadow Flame was all the way on the left, so he had that for a while.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see that from. All right, so now Firebat has an option to go for Brawl, which he has 2 of, and he's going for it. Which one comes out? Unless the Doctor Boom comes out, which it did, and he can clear the board, which it did. But Firebat doesn't really have to play a leftover. Like, he has nothing to play after. Whatever Ostaka plays, Firebat can kill it because he has a Shield Slam, but it doesn't really have anything after.
Yep, that's right, and it might be one of those games where the Warlock hero power just takes over. Oftentimes, the Warlock wins this matchup not by just having too many threats, but by just tapping every single turn by having more consistent card draw. Meanwhile, the Warrior, it can't really put on that much pressure onto the handlock side. Like we saw the double Sludge Belcher. Yes,
Uh-huh.
overall it's a great card, but how much pressure does that really put on the opponent?
Not too much, especially not the Handlock who's holding on to double Molten Giant and a taunt. Oh man, so Skaka is gonna go for Molten Giant, and Firebat is forced to go for Shield Slam, I believe. Is Skaka worried about dying at any point right now?
I don't think so, not at all.
I'm just trying to justify the use of some Fear Protector there, which I wasn't so sure.
Again, I think it might be more about getting cards out of his hand.
Mm-hmm. And just having more damage, I suppose, to
Yeah.
reduce the armor, which doesn't matter anymore because both Shield Slams.
Yeah, setting up the Fireworks is great once again. He really needs to get Ostaka down into the range of Grom, so Ostaka will play more conservatively.
Oh yeah, you can. Very often you can just scare the Handlock from dying so that they overdevelop the board and then you can go for their second Brawl, which is not the case, unfortunately, right now. Oof.
Well, there's a Justicar. We're gonna see the old hero power Justicar hero power turn.
Hero power. That is a 6 armor he just gained, so he doesn't have to worry about anything right now. But he can't use his weapon except for going face, which he will. Now that puts some threats on Ostaka, and he might actually overall develop his board here.
Huh. There's
Doesn't
not
really have any demons.
he doesn't have any demons, and he doesn't have an amazing way to clear off this Justicar True Heart.
Well, he can just run his Void Color into 6-3. Ostaka already used the Doomguard and Mal'Ganis, so he's out of those to speak. Unless he runs a double Doomguard, which I rarely see that.
Well, the question
I don't see that
is,
too often.
do you want to get Jiraxis on the board? And it doesn't seem like it.
No, you don't want a life tap. So here comes another great Brawl turn. Depends on what comes out. As long as the Molten Giant doesn't come out, Firebat should be happy here. Because the Brawl, and then whatever comes out, he can just bash and clear the board.
Yeah, that's right. So one of these options is really good. Defender Vargas surviving. One of them is really bad. And Emperor's exactly in the middle.
It's all right. It's
so-
a reasonable.
So again, that's the middle outcome.
Mhm.
I think both players are like, okay, RNG was not too bad today.
Now, Skeka is out of the Molten Giant. He has only one threat left, which, whoa, nice draws, man. And the Ostaka knows that Firebat has no way to kill Ostaka after playing Xraxus. So Xraxus is going to be a huge threat. Firebat is out of double brawl, so how is gonna deal with this 2-mana Infernals? And there is one answer going for Sylvanus.
Yeah, this also sets up kind of lethal here.
Kind of.
And we're actually seeing Ostaka run out of cards completely. Yeah, one of the last cards, of course, is a Mountain Giant. I think the last card, if I'm not mistaken, is an Ancient Watcher.
Yeah, he has yet to play the second one unless he runs one only. Now, how does he clear this Sylvanus? He could go for Hellfire Clear and then go for Healbot. Which what he ends up doing it.
I mean, not the most efficient play, but it works.
He goes back to 15 health and he develops the 6/6 Infernal, which is great. And now it's Firebat doesn't really have any burst damage.
Whoa!
Whoa! That is a likely board clear actually with the Baron Geddon. Likely.
How likely is it really?
A little bit less than 50-50, I believe. Because you have to hit 4 times with the on 6/6 before 3/3 dice. And now, ooh, that is not the best use of Chrome as far as I know.
That's true. I think right now Firebat, he really needs just to survive. But unfortunately, he's used both brawls, and I don't think there's that much he can do here. He'll have to use the bouncing blade.
You just have to have really, really good luck with bouncing blades and Baron Geddon play here. Who do you get it?
Slam is pretty good though.
Slam could be nice, but what does he draw? He's out of Execute, he's out of Shoal Slam. There isn't too many things that can draw here to save him, except for, I guess, a Belcher, but then you're just putting yourself at the worst position because you know that the Drox is going to spawn on another Infernal, and you don't really have good answer to clear the board. So you just have to pray, cross your finger, and hope that Bouncing plays and Baron Geddon plays just clears the board, and then hopefully you can just burst the opponent down in a couple turns. It doesn't have to clear the board, I don't think. You just have to kill those threatening cards that's standing out.
I mean, it's not going to be that likely. Oh my god, he actually kills an Infernal. What a great bouncing blades. And you know what? After that, he also deals 2 damage, or 1 damage to the Defender of Argus. So this is actually going to be like almost one of the best case scenarios for Firebat.
Almost.
And you know what? With the Justicar Trueheart buff to the hero power, it means that Firebat might be able to survive a bit. We can see from these hands, Ostaka can pretty much only play 1 threat a turn. It's either the Mountain Giant or the Infernal.
But he also has a Owl and a Healbot, which is great against what Firebat has left over. He should have another Deathlord, which it doesn't really matter. And Bouncing Blades! It's got to go Slam, though.
That's insane.
Second Bouncing Blades. Wow, 2 Bouncing Blades is something I haven't seen at all, actually. Shoal Slam and Developing Armor sounds okay. Firebat just have to hope that Ostaka just dies on fatigue, which I don't know how likely that it's gonna happen.
Yeah, Firebat, I'm sure he knows that the second Healbot is there.
I'm actually a little surprised he's playing. Oh, that's why he's just gonna go face. He's afraid of the fatigues coming out. And an Owl. Ooh, that's interesting. So Ostaka is taking 4 damage fatigue turn, right? Next, or is that 3?
I think it's 4.
It's 4. So he dies in 3 turns. Can Firebat survive for 3 turns? That is a great question. He's got to go for Bouncing Blaze and hopes that 5/3 dies without killing his own 5/5, and then he can run into any of the threats, I suppose.
All right, let's look at this RNG once again.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Ooh, kills 8/3, so all right, chance of him surviving has gone up slightly.
Yeah, that's actually
another card. He also has a Belcher left and Deathlord. Deathlord's not going to summon anything here.
Yeah, I don't think he has a Belcher left. He played both of them in the mid game, but definitely.
I meant to say Deathlord. One. Yeah,
definitely Deathlord will be really helpful here.
He takes the 3 damage, so he actually takes him 4 turns. I don't know if a 5 can survive for 4 turns against Infernal. Oof, that is tough.
Yeah, but you know what? Firebat's deck is looking pretty defensive, so there's probably even more cards that allow him to survive.
How often do you see this matchup just being determined by fatigue? Without seeing Harrison Jones on Draxus, of course.
Yeah.
He even plays an owl. He really wants to get a kill here.
And
But
you know what? He played
cards.
around. I was just gonna say he played around revenge.
Ooh. Oh, wow. He still Yeah.
He has to play it now, though.
Yeah, he has to play it.
It feels bad.
That's fine. I don't think the Firebat will survive another turn, would he? Well, actually, if he draws into Deathbite, which he should have one left over, that is it.
Yeah, and if he draws into Colloid Oracle as well, if he runs that in his deck. Oh, hell!
Oh, the Gorahel! Oh man, Firebat takes the game with the last card.
That was insane. That was insane.
Nice top deck. Wow, that was.
You know, we kind of complained in the beginning of this series about how everyone's bringing the same lineup and it's going to be
I know.
not that exciting, but Firebat showed us a pretty amazing game with this really unique deck.
Very unique. Very, very unique. I don't think I've seen that exact version.
Yeah, I mean, we saw double bouncing blades. We saw double Deathlord, double brawl, Gorehowl. That's insane.
Probably double bash as well.
Yeah, double bash, probably double slam as well. It makes sense though. We saw Teray make a kind of a similar deck in the sense that he played Jessica Trueheart. He played like shield blocks, bashes, slams, and his like win condition was basically using a Gorehowl and armoring up, getting value out of that Gorehowl, getting value out of his weapons. Firebat took kind of like a similar approach, cutting the acolytes, putting in cards that helped him gain armor, adding in the Gorehowl, but adding even more removal, so a more defensive version of Teray's deck.
Now, seeing a defensive warrior like that, would you expect the Zoo or Henlock out of a Firebat? I'm still curious.
I'm not really sure if. So there's two ways to build conquest lineups. One is you just build like good decks against your opponent, and the other is like you
completely shut down one matchup.
Yeah, completely shut down one matchup exactly. And I think with Firebat, he's really known for creating lineups that suit what his opponents are playing. And I think he basically built that warrior deck specifically to counter Ostaka, to counter exactly what he would be bringing. Like, it'd be good against Patron. It's obviously pretty good against Handlock, I would say. And I think he did.
Not necessarily Demon Handlock, though. I don't believe. It was. Yeah, I would say the double bouncing blade was very interesting.
Yeah, it definitely was. Even an owl in his deck to help that basically. But I think with Firebat's lineup, he's basically like, okay, I don't really necessarily have to have too much synergy in the lineup. It just has to, all my decks have to be good against what Ostaka plays.
Now, what do you think about Ostaka actually playing Ghoul on turn 2 instead of armoring up? It makes sense if you have a Battle Rage, which he just drew, but he didn't have Battle Rage. So you're just letting your opponent know, oh, I'm not playing Patron. I'm playing Patron. There's no way I'm going to play Control Warrior, right?
I don't think that's a huge concern at all, to be honest. Ostaka is known for playing Patron, and you also saw Ostaka play Patron yesterday.
True. All right. Very true. It could be a mind game going on between. So he does add Wrath and kill it.
So the obvious play there was the Pilot Treader, but number one, it dies just the Fire War Axe, and second of all, you really want to deny card draw from the opponent. So Firebat, by just playing Wrath here, not only does it kill off the Ghoul, but it prevents something like an Acolyte from being spawned behind that, or something like a Patron as well.
Usually I will advise not going for face with the hero power early on. But then in here it actually didn't matter because the Ostaka was not showing any sign of him wanting to armor up. He was just continuously playing minions and even played a Ghoul just to not armor up so he can get the good battle rage. Oh. Well, that's a decent number of card draws. And he does clear the board.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting
Oh,
though.
man. Firebat has a 2 Force Natures and Savager, which is not the best thing you want to see against Control Warrior. But he does have, well, against the Warrior. But he does have the Palace Trader, which is decent against Warriors
Yeah.
in general.
I think both these players at this point, they both had something good happen to them and something bad happen to them. For Firebat, he drew into Wild Growth, but he doesn't have two amazing follow-ups. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Ostaka, he's been drawing a lot of cards, which is what you want as Patron Warrior. But at the same time, he's not drawing into the cards he really wants. It's those
No, he's
patrons,
not drawing
basically.
Patron. Ooh. 3-2. So how does he kill this? He definitely does not want to play another ghoul. Maybe you can just slam and kill it, but he's not cycling if he does it.
It's possible that you just play the Frothing Berserker here as just a minion, because it's not really the win condition in the matchup. Your win condition is the patrons.
But when you have this, whoa, Force Commander and Taskmaster, right? Yeah, and just run in.
Wow, that's really interesting.
It does make sense in a sense that you don't really need second Warsome Commander often in this matchup.
Mhm.
But then you don't really have any patrons in your hand to just use it.
Yeah. So I think what Ostaka tried to do there is he saw his hand had one Warsong Commander, and he realizes that he doesn't need that second Warsong Commander. Also, Firebat was going on turn 7, which means Ancient Allure turn, a Doctor Boom turn, the two key turns for Firebat. So if
Oh, yeah.
Ostaka plays something to disrupt that turn, then he'll be pretty happy. And I think he's pretty happy with the current board state at the moment, which is just one Keeper of the Grove. So definitely a pretty heads up play by Ostaka. Not a
If
play.
Ostaka really wants to draw, he can also just play Slime here and then try to draw into patrons.
Yeah,
Which it will.
not a play that most people would make. And not only that, like just according to the stats, Ostaka is the best tournament patron in the world. Basically, he had the best patron record in all of Block Rock Mountain.
Wow, that is pretty impressive. Considering there are a lot of good patron warriors out there.
Right.
The Firebat does draw into something to play, but it's not really something you really want to draw into your 7 drops at this point, and you want to develop your board so you can go for Force Nature Savage, which he can next turn. He's very close to having lethal, actually. He even plays a Big Game Hunter. Wow, he realizes that, oh, Skek already played one patron, so, well, one Frothing Berserker, so the Big Game Hunter is unlikely to be useful.
Well, you do
Ostaka should be really scared right now. Force Nature Savage, or even just having. Well, Firebat has to have 2 minions of surviving because the Force Nature Savage with a 4 attack minion does 20 damage. Means as long as Ostaka kills 2 of these minions, which he does have ability to do it with the double Whirlwind.
Yeah, double Whirlwind.
He should get out of here alive.
And you can even use Inner Rage here, or
Inner Rage or board clear.
yeah, Inner Rage for the board clear. The problem with that is if you use both Whirlwinds and Inner Rage here, you used both Whirlwinds, basically, 2 Whirlwind effects, and the Inner Rage, which you need for the Grim Patrons. So it's kind of like you're throwing away part of your win condition. That being said, you still have the Unstable Ghoul.
Ooh, that is...
Ooh, I like this.
He's willing to use either Execute or Inner Rage.
I like this. You can kind of make a read as Ostaka that the opponent has some pieces of the combo at least, or he at least has a Savage Roar. Oh wow!
Oh my god! Double Force Nature Savage. You can just use it and go for the face mostly.
So how much of this do you go to face? Are you afraid?
I will just kill Frothing Berserker and then go for rest for the face. Bring your opponent down to 11. And how does Ostaka armors up or taunts up for 14, right? And you're not really looking forward to double Force Nature Savage in this match.
Oh!
Oh, the great top deck.
That's
by Ostaka. That is a huge throw. It let him survive under Force Nature Savager, so Firebat has to develop the board. He has to join to 7 trap, or else he's in huge trouble right now.
Yeah, pretty much. He needs that. He needs that ancient. He needs that Doctor Boom. There's really no way for him to get around that. But one of the best top decks I've ever seen,
Wow.
especially since Battle Ragers are gone. So that was pretty much Ostaka's only out. Ostaka probably
Yeah.
plays around two of them in his deck, so it was like a whoa second BGH.
Haven't
So
seen that. Wow.
it seemed like Firebat is just really targeting the handlock here.
Oh yeah, definitely. So here you can just the hero power kill the Acolyte or not.
No, if you
Just
kill the
pass the turn.
well, the acolyte doesn't really do anything.
Yeah,
It's one
it's just
damage per
adding
turn.
one damage.
And if you attack the acolyte, the one damage power just gets transferred to the frothing berserker.
Oh yeah, and that is the last Breathing Berserker is Firebat saying, so he's not worried about having extra minion on board so that it does extra. It gives extra frothing, but it gives extra damage to Frothing Berserker usually. Ancient Warlord seems decent. However, Osaka does have the best card to kill that. Best two cards, which is a Slam and Execute. Man, Osaka is just gonna slowly wear down the Firebat unless Firebat draws into something great besides the Ancient War. Because that's just this one is just gonna die to Slam and Execute. We all know that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure
Or
how
just go for Rock Cloud of Pain and Execute.
I'm not sure how slowly this will be since we do see Grim Patron on the board
Oh,
and a frothing berserker.
oh man, now we can just play. Wow, okay. So I can just go for Warson Commander Green Patron combo right now.
Yeah, why not?
Although I don't know how likely he wants to do that.
I think you go for it.
Yeah, I will go for it. But Warson Commander though is a good question. That is his last Warson Commander. He has to think about that as well. As long as you develop the board so that Druid can't really board clear, I think you're happy.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's necessary for him to use the war song commander.
Even goes for a slam. Now Druid is forced to use Force Nature Savage to clear this. While Oskaka still has a Warson Commander and Green Patron left in the deck. Along with the Death Bite and Emperor Darrison. It's looking pretty green for Firebat. He's using last piece of combo just to clear the board. And what's your win condition left now? You just have to win this game with minions, and that's it. And the moment you overexpand on board, you can just die to, well, then Oskaka just can clear the board with the patrons.
Yeah. The other issue is just Firebat's health at the moment.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess at 15, you're not worried about dying next turn, but next turn, a turn after that, it's a problem. At least he has a good answer here to kill off the Emperor Darrison and develop the board.
Yeah, that's a board clear. But if you just look at the hand right now, what can Firebat really do against Deathspite into Grim Patron?
Not much, I believe not. That is a 8 damage plus 6.
Yeah, you
14
just
damage coming in
Yeah.
next 2 turns.
well, double Deathspite even. You can just Deathspite face.
Yeah,
and then you
if
just
I fight for 4 turns and you win. That's 16 damage right there. Unless Firebat draws into a taunt.
I don't think a taunt will save him. Because you can just execute it and then
Yeah.
run some patrons in. No, well, actually, a taunt would have. If Firebat
Save
didn't
you.
draw into anything, it would save you for one turn at least, right?
Yeah. Oh man, Oskaka is almost out of cards, but that is a game that is extra 4 plus 6 damage coming in, which is enough to kill Firebat.
Yep, that's right. And Wave of the Patrons spawn, and Firebat is dead. But I think this is all right. Even though Firebat lost that game, it was a pretty close game, and we saw clearly what Firebat's strategy is. It's to beat the handlock 3 times. And to that extent, I'm willing to bet that either this Warlock is a Malagos Warlock, which really deals well with handlock, or it's a handlock itself that has 2 BGH.
which will just by default has a huge advantage in mirror matchup.
Yep.
But Firebat has to win with the Druid at some point. And here comes the Druid mirror matchup.
Yeah, interesting mulligan from Firebat. He kept the Emperor Thorzane because he had the Innervate along with that.
Mm-hmm.
Would you have ever considered that play, Masan? Just keeping Emperor when you have an Innervate?
In mirror matchup, I would say yeah, I will definitely consider it. I will very, very consider it if I had the Wild Growth instead of an Innervate.
Mm.
But yeah, just at worst possible scenario here, since you do have an Innervate, you will be playing something else just to stall time until you play Ampere later on, right?
Yeah, that's right.
It's not the best hand you want to have, but it's above average hand.
Yeah. I love that feeling you get when you're playing against a Druid player and you see that their hero power is red. Like you can see that they're hovering over their hero power on turn two.
It feels great.
Yeah. If you want to like be a real asshole, then you can like every time you play Druid, you just hover your finger over your hero power on turn two, and then you're like, nope, I have Wild Growth. I'll just use that.
Oh no.
It's like I have an interesting decision. Do I have hero power on two or Wild Growth? All right. Firebat's really happy that basically nothing happened for the past two turns.
Mm-hmm. No Wild Growth, no Innervate happen. Question is, do you want to play Emperor Thorzane knowing that it's going to die and your opponent's going to have a better board?
It's kind of like
you want to play a Shredder since your opponent is kind of playing slow, so why not just match it?
Okay. Yeah, Firebat would have been in a lot of trouble if Ostaka had a faster hand.
Oh yeah, but then Firebat would have just played Emperor Thorzane, right?
Yeah, I think there was actually a pretty decent argument for playing Emperor on that last turn, since because he coined out this piloted Shredder, then Ostaka probably has another 4-drop or another piloted Shredder to follow that up. But Firebat wants to be a little more greedy here.
Both players have Force Nature Savager.
Right.
And it's all gonna come down to how much damage can you deal, who has a better board by turn 9.
Yeah,
because turn 9 will be likely game over.
It's a bit about who blinks first, and I think in this race Firebat will win since he has the Emperor. If he plays Emperor on 6, then he can just Force of Nature on 7. Or Force of Nature Savage Roar on 7 rather.
Mm-hmm. You can also go for Wrath Swipe and Poly Shredder on turn 7 just to clear the board and develop the board with the Shredder, and then Force of Nature Savager on turn 8. So Firebat has advantage, but Ostaka by no means it has a better board at the moment, so by no means has a worse hand or a worse board, at least for now. He has a Wild Growth, which is great, which is going to accelerate his turns for Force Nature Savager coming up. So what's going to come out of the Shredders are going to be really important here. He gets a 2.
Oh. Not only a 2/4, but one that can't really attack unless you hero power.
No.
And the problem with that is you really don't want to hero power in the matchup.
No, you absolutely do not. You just want to keep on playing minions and just keep going at it. And here, Firebat did kill the 2/4 because Ostaka was likely, if he doesn't have a Wrath, he's going to go for the hero power to kill Emperor Thorzane.
That's right. That's right. Hero power is very likely on the next turn.
Mm-hmm. And how does Ostaka survive this?
Again, a lot of Firebat's last turn, of course, it was about playing Emperor on 6, but a lot of it does make an Ancient Allure here pretty awkward.
I like how Ostaka is still 3 damage off lethal. It's so close matchup. So would you go for a lure here and try to draw? You still have an Innervate and hero power if he really wants. And then that will actually allow you to survive Force Nature Savager combo on turn 7. Keeper. Okay, so he just decide to go for a safer play, which is just clearing board as much as possible.
Yeah. One thing you could do is trade in the Pilot Shredder and go for
Innervate Keeper.
Actually, the problem with that is you lose your Innervate, so you can't Force Nature Savage Roar.
No, not next turn. So you're looking forward to just develop the board more next turn.
We might have ourselves a runaway game here, though.
Well, this is a great turn to go for, like I say, the Shredder, Swipe, and Wrath. That does board clear easily and does bring Ostaka down to 19, and you have a 4-3 and 2-3 developed. Ready to go with a Force Nature Saboteur next turn. And Ostaka has to clear everything in that case.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty easy for him to board clear, though. I mean, if you have this type of board, and you have like all these removable spells in your hand, I don't think it's gonna be very likely at all.
Oh, I'm a little surprised that he decided to save the Wrath instead of killing and going face and bringing him down to 18. So you have, even if he kills the Powerless Trader, you still have lethal. Oh man, Ostaka is really doesn't have much at the moment.
So what does Ostaka need to do here? He basically needs to clear off everything, or at least clear off the Shredder, hopes it drops something weak, and also clear off the Sun Fury at the same time.
Or a heal with the lore.
Heal. Well, the problem is healing with the lore is definitely not a winning play at least.
No, it's not.
You lose out on board and you lose out on
Oh.
He's gonna draw,
Oh
yeah.
no. And that'll be it.
Yeah.
Even if he goes for double Innervate and Keeper, he's just hoping Firebat does not have Force Nature Saboteur yet, which is not the case. And Firebat will take the game number 2. Well, game number 3. His second win here versus Ostaka.
Yeah, very nice. Even though I would say Firebat had the weaker deck since he's playing double BGH, slightly weaker deck, his decision to keep the Emperor in addition to that Innervate he had in his hand was pretty intelligent. I mean, I think it had to do a lot with him having an Innervate backup, because if he didn't have that Innervate and he didn't have a Wild Growth and he kept the Emperor, he would just be dead.
It's also that Ostaka really didn't join to any ramping cards either. Firebat had the Innervate Emperor Arisen, but what did Ostaka have? Really nothing until turn, like, 4 mana cost minion cards, right?
Yep.
Oh, and then we're seeing this matchup again. Of course, it's gonna be probably Demon Handlock. I want to say I also want to say double BGH. Going back to what you said about like the mulligans and everything, I think Firebat is the player who has the most unique mulligans almost, and they're always very intelligent ones. I just remember him explaining Freeze Mage to me, and he said in the Freeze Mage versus the Hunter matchup. Oh my God, double Wild Growth.
Oh my god.
But yeah, in the Hunter versus Freeze Mage matchup, you never want to keep Loot Hoarder, since you always would rather ping over Loot Hoarder. And
Oh yeah.
pinging and playing a Loot Hoarder is essentially like the same thing. You deal
Against
with
Face Hunter, right?
yeah, against Face Hunter. You deal with their minion, and you get an extra card in a sense. But it's a card that's not Loot Hoarder, which is good for you. And also, you kill off the minion faster. Like a Leper Gnome or an Abusive Sergeant would do an extra 2 damage for you if you didn't ping.
Wow, the Ostaka Ascend, by the way. He's gonna need to draw well from here, though. So Emperor Darrison is gonna come down, likely. And he does have... he's gonna run out of his hands so quickly, and unless he draws into combo quick or lower quick, he's gonna be in a bit of trouble, I think. Despite the fact that he started with a great double Wild Growth into Emperor into Dr. Boom.
Yeah. Playing this BGH is kind of a double-edged sword here.
Yep. So he actually is playing around the Mortal Coil here and just goes for Judo Claw instead, which makes sense. It's not like you can play Dr. Boom for 6 mana and have you will even if you go for Emperor Darrison and you go for Dr. Boom on turn 7, that's gonna cost us 6 mana. It's not gonna be that efficient.
Dr. 7 on turn Boom.
Oh, Ostaka does have a Force Nature Saboteur combo now.
Yeah, and funnily enough, do you go for the risky play and Hellfire here?
Oh my god. Chance of you losing 5 health against the two bots. It's about 1-6, right?
The funny thing here is, although Firebat is at 27 HP, he's like arguably almost dead.
Arguably almost dead to Force Nature Savagery. If he Ostaka top decks the Innervate, which he has yet to draw, that'll be the game. Whoa. That is arguably as good hand, actually, if you think about it.
How much damage is that really?
Force Nature Savagery.
Or no, you just
Can't come down.
Savage Roar there. It adds
That damage.
16 damage
Mhm.
basically.
And you have a 9 damage. So that's 25.
Yeah. And 26 with the hero power.
I'll just go for... I don't think you want to go face here, do you? Because you have a Force Nature Savagery on turn 9. Ooh, that is a war clear, so you can just go for Imperator's and then hero power. Great play from Ostaka coming down. And how do you survive next turn as a Firebat?
Wait,
Wow.
wait, how much damage did Ostaka have? That was 8 from Savage Roar, and he had 9 on board. Okay, so that's 16 plus 9.
9.
That's 25.
25.
Didn't Firebat have
No. That was... Firebat had 28 or 27.
28? Okay. Fair enough.
So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Ostaka evens the series once again. Wow. With a double Force Nature Savagery combo. Well, double Force Nature Savagery combo.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really play around that.
No, I don't think Firebat could play around that.
It's pretty funny. That game was pretty funny since Ostaka, he didn't really have like a keeper into a Twilight Drake, a BGH into the Mountain Giant, but he still won. Just by off the so much pressure coming from Dr. Boom.
No lore is what it surprises me. He won without lore this matchup. So he drew, what, 10 cards total?
Yeah, that's right.
No Innervate either.
We're gonna have a mirror matchup now.
Oof. It turns out the Demon Hemlock they brought is a weak link.
Yeah. Firebat.
The difference, I believe, will be the Firebat. I still think the Firebat should have brought the 2 big game hunters in this matchup.
Yeah, I think he might bring 2. His deck might have 2 big game hunters, and his deck might also have something like 2 Shadow Flames, which is another card that's good in the matchup. Firebat just keeps his entire hand. I wonder what Ostaka's reaction to that is.
Well, you don't know Firebat whether Firebat kept it or not.
He did.
So you don't. Well, as Ostaka would not know whether he kept it or not, because he did not see cards mulliganing out.
Yeah. Well, if you wait till the very end, you can see it. But I think both players have decent hands at the moment. Firebat, he's a little grimacing at his draw.
Which hand would you say is the better, Firebat or Ostaka, in this matchup?
Oh, they're pretty equal. I want to say Ostaka is just slightly better right now, actually, because
That I agree.
yeah, he has not only he has a BGH and an Iron Beak Owl for Firebat's threats. He has a Twilight Drake, which is kind of equivalent to a Void Caller plus Doomguard.
Likely Ostaka. I mean, would you silence the Void Color in this matchup when you have Big Game Hunter? You might want to go for a winning play time to time, right?
Yeah, I don't think
Without knowing that it's going to be Doomguard.
Huh. Well, this is an interesting scenario though, because like Firebat so confidently played this Void Caller into your Twilight Drake that I think it's okay to silence it. And you also saw him keep a lot of cards, so that means he probably has
very
the
nice
answers.
turn 5 play here. Unless Ostaka plays the Defender of Argus, of course.
Oh, no Argus.
Otherwise, it will be just trading both of them into the Lothab, which is something you don't want. You want to get the maximum volley of the Twilight Drake since it was not silenced.
No Mortal Coil here. Mortal Coil would be pretty good here.
We still have a... Ooh. He's trying to join to Mortal Coil, which he didn't. So Martin Jan will be traded with the 5-1 and
Well, I think you play the void color here.
3-2 at worst case scenario. Oh yeah, you just go for a void color to trade into with the 5-1. Which does make sense. So you really want to get your Doomguard out, and you also want to get you want to force your opponent to play double owl if they run double owl in this case, which often the Demon Handlocks don't run double owl.
And again, Ostaka is extremely confident that Firebat has a demon in his hand because he did keep 2 cards or all 3 cards from his mulligan.
Oh yeah.
So I think Ostaka
and one of them was a void color, right?
Yeah, I think Ostaka at this point he can kind of assume that the cards that are in Firebat's hand are a situational card. So that's either an owl or a BGH or one of the demons.
Ostaka has a 7 damage on board, which kills practically any demon comes out of Firebat. So he can just kill both and go for his own Void Color or Ancient Watcher. Oh wait, he can go for Void Color, never mind. The Ancient Watcher.
It's actually really relevant that these really situational cards are clogging up Firebat's hand. Because that's like 4 cards, the 2 Molten Giants and the 2 Heal Bots that Firebat will have clogged up. So essentially, Firebat's hand, like the options he has, is limited to the 6 cards that he has in the rest of his hand. Compared to Ostaka. Well, Ostaka actually doesn't have the best hand either. He's limited. He also has like the same situation. The 2 Molten Giants and the 2 anti-heal bots.
He does have a Dr. Boom on turn 7, which is typically great play though. But then you don't want to just go for a big game 1 or a Mountain Giant. I guess you want to go for some Fear Protector and the Ancient Watcher as well here after live tapping so that your big game hunter doesn't get traded by 2-3 some Fear Protector. Unless, of course, Firewood has a Hellfire, which is not the case at the moment. Ooh, that is a tough turn for Firebat.
Yeah, so basically Firebat becomes the first person to really brick. He has too many situational cards at the moment.
Double Molten Giant, double Sunfear Protector, Argus, Big Game Hunter. Malison, like those cards you don't really want to play. Well, you'll be forced to play Molten Giant, I suppose, very soon.
So many good plays here.
Yeah, so many good plays here. You can go Emperor Darrison, you can go Dr. Boom. You can even go for a Void Color and defend the Wargus and clear the opponent to Sunfear Protector. But then you don't kind of want to do that since you don't have Demon.
I really liked Emperor Thorzen here, even though it's slightly less power on the board, because it's really difficult.
Protected.
Yeah, it's really difficult for Firebat to clear this. He basically needs Hellfire plus Dark Bomb, or he might have to silence his Ancient Watcher, for instance, if he wants to Dark Bomb it and run his Sunfear Protector in it. And as we can see, there's not really an answer. So Emperor Thorzen
is going to get great value out of this.
Exactly.
So Molten Giant and Sunfear Protector likely is going to come down.
It is, but you're really not happy about playing a Molten Giant for 7 mana.
No. And Emperor Darrison is going to easily clear 2-3 if Ostaka wants to. Is Ostaka worried about... I guess the only thing Ostaka worried about here is Shadow Flame, which Firebat... Which often you see 1 Hellfire and 1 Shadow Flame in Demon Handlock.
Yeah.
You don't see too many AoEs, but that 1 Shadow Flame, 1 Molten Giant up could be a huge strat. Like, you might not want to go for Dr. Boom play.
That's right. Although I will say that even if Firebat Shadow Flames now in a decent board, I don't think if Ostaka is too sad, because you typically only run 1 Shadow Flame and it's like almost the best card in the matchup because it's the only like super board clear that resets the entire board.
Yep, Ostaka also is going to get the double volley out of the... Or not. It's going to Dark Bomb and run into it. Oh yeah, he's going to kill it, I think. With the Emperor Darrison. And then develop the Dr. Boom. So he's just going for a stronger board. He's not going to get as much value out of the Emperor Darrison, but it's still gotten enough value, I believe. almost 9 minutes, right?
I think it was actually exactly 9 of value, basically.
So Big Game Hunter comes down to kill off the Dr. Boom, and so does Molten Giant. I'm not so sure how happy Firebat is right now. So he got most of the conditional cards out. He played both Molten Giants, and he has a stronger board, unless somehow Molten Giant is cleared by Boombots or other removals. So Firebat might be safe to actually just go for Droxus next turn, which is a great card in this matchup. Now coming to the Ostaka, and he doesn't really have. He's still scared of the Shadow Flame. He doesn't really have the cards you want to play. You just have to hope that you get really good Boombot shots, I think.
Okay,
Does kill off the Big Game Hunter, which is decent.
It always seems like the boombots hit BGH.
Yes. I was gonna also mention. Oh, do you really want to play the Big Game Hunter without killing Boombots?
There was a thread yesterday about like what are like the unwritten rules of Hearthstone, and one of them like in the first I only read the first post, but it didn't include boombots always hit BGH, which is I think one of the main tenets.
Did also have the Omar Smith coming out of the brawl.
Yeah, I think it had that as well.
Okay.
So we see a BGH here. Nice tech by Firebat, of course.
Yeah.
But it's actually not going to be. At this point, you would rather have a Shadow Flame, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. You
BGH
could try to gamble and join into it.
BGH is nice, but I feel like it's mostly good for the beginning of the game. Like it's a good early game swing, whereas Shadow Flame is really your late game swing card.
Now, how would you play this out as a Firebat? Would you just go for a Twilight Trick and Big Game Hunter and hope that your opponent doesn't really have anything to get through? Or would you actually want to go for Defend the Wargus? Because you're going to use that Molten Giant to clear the taunt 4-5. Life tap coming out.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh,
and goes for Healbot. Okay. So and some people. Wow.
Okay.
So he knows that he's going to lose. At worst possible scenario for him, he's going to lose the Molten Giant. So he only has 9 damage on board against 18 health opponent.
Yeah. Pretty interesting that both players. They seem to be running identical decks, with the exception of Firebat possibly running an extra BGH. Both players are running Lotheb along in their Demon Lux, which is not like completely standard, but it's in the most standard list.
Now the Firebat played both Big Game Hunters, but he has yet to clear any Malganese or Molten Giant, which is something actually notable right now. So it goes for Twilight Drake, Void Color, and Defend the Wargus. Does the Firebat has an owl to clear this?
Oh.
Whoa! And he has a Ultra Coil to go along with it. Man. But if you kill the Void Color, though, you're going to get the Malganese out, so you're not going to be able to clear that as well. Still go for Twilight Drake. Sounds Twilight. Oh, I guess you want to know which one. So would you Mortal Coil the Void Color first? Instead of silencing... Oh, he's gonna silence the Void Color first instead of a Twilight Drake, which is 5/11. So he thinks that Void Color is a bigger threat than Twilight Drake. That is Taunt Dove has 5/11 taunt.
Yeah. So he really doesn't think Ostaka is bluffing, even though Ostaka. Yeah. The problem is Ostaka will just if the same problem will come next turn. A Void Collar will come down, and Firebat won't have an answer.
So from our perspective, that killing Twilight Drake was just better play, but man, the Firebat doesn't really have any answer for the Molten Giants or Malganese, unfortunately, anymore. Without drawing something like Shadow Flame.
Huh, I wonder why Firebat didn't play the Mountain Giant there. I guess with this play, he kind of assumes that the Twilight Drake will just bump into the second anti-heal bot so he can Dark Bomb it the following turn.
Possibly. You might be also worried about Doom Guards, right? But then Doom Guards only threat 5 damage.
Actually,
Maybe?
Lotheb is pretty relevant as well in the matchup.
Maybe
Because-
Firebat think that Ostaka is also running double Weekend Hunter like he is.
Yeah, it could be very possible. I think it's much less likely since Ostaka, he had to face more people early on and he had to submit
Oh,
the
yeah.
same deck lists. And also, Firebat is not as known for playing Handlock as much as Ostaka is.
True. Now, Firebat is just stuck with the awkward hand. Which play would you go for here if you were Firebat?
I think Dark Bomb is almost a given here.
Man. Yeah.
And I want to play Twilight Drake as well, I think. And then it's all about how you spend the rest 6 of your mana. Oh, wow. Not a Dark Bomb.
Wow. So just go for most taunt possible. And this will be cleared out if Ostaka has a Shadow Flame, which he doesn't. He can life tap for 1 draw though, if he really wants to. And he has ability to do so since he has really good board presence. So he's not afraid to just life tap.
Yeah. Because Firebat has used both Molten Giants, it's almost it's actually not that great for him because now first of all, Ostaka doesn't have to play around those Molten Giants. And second of all, Ostaka knows that Firebat he can't get an insane turn. Like oftentimes
No, he
like the
can't.
big swing turns are when you play a Molten Giant for really cheap and then you Shadow Flame. Firebat doesn't have access to those type of plays anymore.
No. But so as long as Ostaka clears of Firebat's board, this should be just snowballing win for Ostaka from now on. The question is how we clear here. The 5-10 taunt is pretty threatening, but then you can just attack it into it with the 8-8 and 2-1.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a lot about an attrition war, because Ostaka he definitely has the advantage now. There's no question about it, and I don't think he's going to let go of it anytime soon. And because of that, Ostaka will probably get a turn sometime soon where he can just go Jiraxis and win the game from there. Although on the flip side of that, does Firebat, or rather, does Ostaka think that Firebat plays Sacrificial Pact? Is a legitimate concern. Like, we joke about that, but I think it's actually a legitimate concern in this situation, since Firebat has been teching pretty hard against him, bringing interesting decks and unique decks to that as well.
I actually played a Demon Handlock with the Sacrificial Pact to just grant so that I can trigger Mal'Ganis anytime I want with a Void Color. But it's interesting though. It's just interesting to think about. If you think if you think the Firebat is gonna hard counter your one of the few decks so hard, then yeah.
Yeah.
Now Ostaka does have a Shadow Flame, so. Whoa.
Oh, you can Shadow Flame or Watcher.
Yeah, you just Shadow Flame the Watcher. How likely is it to kill one of the 8-8 or 9-7 here with the booms? And whoa, boom hits the face, which is the worst target possible. And then Firebat is dreadful right now. How does he survive now? He's almost out of cards. The only way you can't clear this board. You just have to taunt up basically and hope that your opponent doesn't have.
Yeah.
Rules.
Another
Silence,
key point is that Firebat's already used his Lotheb, and Ostaka hasn't. And Lotheb is actually really relevant in the matchup since it allows you to close out the game. It prevents Shadow Flame at all. I think Firebat's last card is actually that Shadow Flame, which is quite unfortunate. It's like the one card. It's like the again, it's like the biggest swing card in the matchup.
Ostaka did play around it most of the time though, so it would not been too relevant this game, but it could have helped, especially with a Mountain Giant.
And is that it?
Yep, that is the game. Yep, that is a 16 damage to 13 damage Firebat, and Ostaka takes a series 3-2 victory. Upsets the defending champion Firebat from this star later.
Well, pretty nice from Ostaka. He takes the series, even though he was kind of countered. Firebat's lineup, I think, was definitely better in the series. But the problem is, if you're playing a Demon Lock Mirror and your only tech is a second BGH, I don't. I'm not sure like how much that helps you. We especially saw that it pretty much the BGH is most relevant in the early game, where Firebat didn't get to use them in the early game. You basically
What are you
need.
checking out instead, though, in the matchup? Because
What are you taking out? Like we didn't see a Shadow Flame there, but there's definitely a Shadow Flame in that deck.
I
So
guess
just
you took out. I don't think I saw Hellfire from Firebat, did we?
no Hellfire. Yeah, that's possible as well. No Hellfire. It's pretty good against patrons, obviously, but the thing is, if you're a patron player, you're probably not going to be going for those patron turns anywhere where you try to develop a board of patrons, just because Hellfire is so common as a card. So if he actually took out all the Hellfires in that deck, it'd be really like, in some ways, it'd be pretty intelligent, since it's kind of a mind game onto people who really know the metagame.
Oh yeah.
Probably-
I mean, all of your minions have a 3 or more attack, anyways,
Yeah.
and you're not really worried about patrons particularly. I guess you can't be worried about patron burst turn, and if you go for it, it's just gonna trade the board most of the time against a demon handlock.
Yeah. So again, Ostaka takes it, and not a really good week for Firebat. He dropped out of the BlizzCon Hearthstone World Championship Series. He dropped out of Star Ladder, so that means it's 2 tournaments that he won't be winning back to back. Yeah. It also means that we won't have a repeat Star Ladder winner. Firebat, of course, won the last Star Ladder with a victory over Lostov in the finals, and we won't get a repeat of the finals that time. So coming right back right after this will be Lostov versus Ostaka, and it's going to be the winner who will move on to the LAN finals in October. We're going to take a short break while the players prepare, and we'll be right back after.